Hello, YouTubers. This is Joe Bravo and Mo Bravo's Knife Reviews. Today we have a special treat. We have our SouthernEdges.com exclusive Hinderer Eklipse Gen, I think it's Gen 2, Bowie Triway in Battle Black G10. Look at that, I even got the popcorn, got the stickers. It is perfect. I would expect nothing less than Southern Edges. A couple of stickers. You have your Teflon washers. You have your bearings. And I'm going to guess that these are spacers that are used if you replace the bearings that are in the tri-way pivot system. This was hand assembled. And very cool packaging here. Here you go. Southern Edges. Mike Caldwell. Packaging came in no problem. A UPS to my door. Very excited. But, the reason why everybody's here to get a look at the new Eklipse. Now, I had an XM18. It's one of the first videos that I did, and it was awesome. Wow. Look at that. That's shiny. That's freaking awesome. The Hinderer logo on the XM18 skinny slicer I have certainly did not shimmer like that does. That's pretty badass. Battle Black, you could see. It's almost like a coating that they put on here. You got your backspacer is Battle Black. You got your frame lock scale is Battle Black. Looks like the handle screws, the pivot, are regular, aluminum or titanium, and then your backspacers have been coated. So really cool design. This blade is in CPM 20CV, USA made, and I believe you can only get this right now at Southern Edges. The DLT version, I think, had the Sponto or the Swedge Spear. And this thing is just shimmering. I mean, this is awesome the way the light is catching it. And for something that's supposed to be Battle Black, I was not expecting it for it to be something that was going to catch the light and be so attention grabbing. With the name like Battle Black. But I am excited. So without further ado, I'm going to give it a flick and a rip. Very nice action. Let's see, is it drop shutty? Could probably use a little bit of oil and maybe a screw turn or two on the pivot screw, but it does deploy quite nicely. Feels good in the hand. Yeah, ergos are great. You got that nice little swell right here. Put your thumb. I wouldn't probably recommend using that choil area. You got your spot for your sharpening choil. And overall, it's a pretty nice looking knife. As it compares to the XM18, I will say it does feel more comfortable than the XM18 did. Now again, I had a regular Gen 4 XM18 and I had a skinny slicer. And I do want to say the skinny slicer definitely felt thinner in the handle. And obviously that's the case because the way that they have those spacers and the scales are specific to the skinny slicer. This certainly does feel better in my hand to get a nice lockup on. I'm not sure about this blade shape for me. I mean, it looks fucking rock and roll. But, do I care for clip points? Not necessarily. Not one of my favorite. But I wanted to try Battle Black. It's my first go with it. The working finish I've been impressed with. The stonewash I've been impressed with. And I will say, one of the things I could notice significantly with the new Eklipse is everything just feels a little bit more smoothed out. One of the knocks that I think I could give the XM18 is that the Gen 4 and the Gen 6 that I had were rough. And, I don't use my knives every day. I'm not in the field. I'm not a firefighter, with gloves on where I would need the extra purchase on the flipper tab. I mean, this is great. I mean, you could do your push down method for deployment. You could do the traditional flipper deployment straight back, and it fires like a rocket, no problem. And I found that a lot of the new XM18s with the tri-way pivot are really, really successful with their deployment right now. If you like a washer action, if you like a Teflon action, you could certainly replace the bearings, but I don't think I would do that. I've been really satisfied with the progression of the pivot to the tri-way and the way that the bearings are firing, so I would probably leave that. But, obviously, if you're working in a dirty environment, it would certainly be something to be said. The Teflon or the bronze phosphor washers might give you a little bit more longevity in between, breakdown and maintenance periods, where if you had the bearings and you had dust, you had dirt, you had a lot of contaminants that would degrade that action, then by all means, switch those bad boys out. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a comparison of the differences between some other knives that are comparable. Here is my Griptilian, full size, 20 CV. So, you basically have the same blade steel. You have a slightly shorter edge, I'd say. If this is 3.5, this is what, 3.46, 3.4. No real difference there. You do have the drop point edge versus the Bowie blade. It's whatever you have a handle preference on. Both of these are G10. This was one of the special production models that they had come out with the blue anodized liners, the gray G10, and then the newer deep carry pocket clip that I really, really love and really enjoy. This has been a very nice user for me. It's in great shape, but, I've used it. The axis lock mechanism could probably use a little bit of cleaning up, and it's so funny, This used to be one of my favorite knives till I started to get more into some of the higher end stuff that I'm into. And, that used to have a great action to me. It still does. It's still great. But it's just amazing that the deployment on the Hinderer with that flipper tab, let me just see if it does any better. Yeah, that's satisfying. It really is. It's got a nice strong detent. I got to keep my hands off that lock bar. See that? There it is. My buddy Josh was saying the same thing. He goes, "Oh man, the detent on this thing is too damn strong." I said, "Well, get your hands off the lock bar." Certainly something that you could, adjust if you, loosen up the lock bar insert that you have there. Could be something to modify if it is a little bit too tight for you, or if you can't keep your grips off of the lock bar when you go to deploy it. So I'm going to move this guy down and show you another hard use knife. And it's funny to use the ZT as a comparison. Again, you have G10 grips. This is an S30V steel, which is certainly a fine steel. You have a DLC coated blade, which is, a serious upgrade for hard use and keeping the blade steel from rusting, even though S30V is pretty, good when it comes to being a corrosion resistant stainless steel. It keeps a very nice edge. And if you go back 5 years ago, that shit was top of the mark. The people that poo-poo it now, they, I guess, had a little bit of a gripe with it. I'm not saying they don't, but I don't find that 20 CV and M390 are that far above in hard use EDC carry. Both of them take an edge well. Yes, the M390 and the 20 CV will keep the edge a little bit longer, but I'm not sure if the two blades were the exact same, or the two knives were the exact same, and one was 20 CV and the other one was S30V. In my opinion, I don't feel that there would be a $200 price point difference. If it's a $30 price point difference, I could certainly understand that. But to go from an S30V or an S35V and jump up hundreds of dollars to get that next level steel, I don't know if that is something that I would spend the money on. So, I know I went over this a couple days ago when we were doing deployment. This is Kershaw Made in America assisted opening, Ken Onion design, and it certainly flicks open with the best of them. Very satisfying to deploy, and it definitely has the tension on the lock bar when you go to, put the blade back into the liners. It's all about preference. Now, ZT does make a version or a Rick Hinderer design knife. I know they make the XM18 model, which is a ZT056, I believe. And I think they do make a Hinderer Eklipse style version knife. I forget the model number at this moment. But if you are looking for a lower cost option in this same blade or handle profile, and you didn't want to step up to the price point of the Hinderer design, you could certainly look at the ZT alternatives and determine if that discount is worth it to you, or if you really want to have the real thing. So I'm going to move this guy down, and I don't know if I could do a knife review without doing a Paramilitary 2 comparison. You know, if you look at the handle size, it's amazing how long the handle is in the PM2 and how comfortable it is. I'm telling you, this is one of my go-tos. You could really get a good purchase on it. It is fantastic. You know, the Eclipse is doing just that. 4-finger, plenty of palm swell. I mean, the flipper becomes a nice choil for your hand, and you could really grip and do your slice and cuts. I mean, just a quality purchase there. I don't think that any of these knives would be a problem in that regard. I think if you went with any of these where, you know, now you could find the Griptilian around the $130, $140 mark with 20 CV skill. Sometimes they come with the Grivery handles. Sometimes they come with the G10. But, you know, for around 110, 120, all the way up to about 180 for a Griptilian with 20 CV and G10 scales, you can get a really quality knife. You go to the ZT, which again was about 5 years old in its design, maybe a little longer. G10 grips, S30V steel with a coated blade, torsion bar mechanism, assisted opening, and you can get this one for around $120 to $150 depending on where you grab it. Now your Paramilitary 2, again an S30V steel, G10 grips, you can find for about $130, $150 where you could find them in stock. You know, of course, they also come in different variants. You can get the Tonto blade, you can get the Warncliffe blade, you can get the 20 CV, the M390, the M4. They really have a whole bunch of different variations. If you enjoy the handle profile, the blade profile, and the overall design that the Sal Glasser came up with many years ago at a Golden, Colorado, and it's just a staple. You really have that level of flexibility with the PM2, and I love it. And then if you want to, you know, kick it up a notch, have an exclusive, have a battle black finish, have a Bowie blade, have one of the best pivot systems for the money in the knife market today with that tri-way pivot system. Have the flexibility to change it from phosphor bronze to Teflon to bearing actuated design. Have an adjustable pocket clip. You could do this in the tip up and the tip down variants by you know, just changing out the clip and the 4 screws that you see here. And then if you're not familiar, Rick Hinderer and his gang have a plethora of options that you could do. You could get the filler tabs that are crazy expensive. They made the COVID 2020 ones that you couldn't get your hands on. You probably still can't. You could get different screws. You could get different standoffs. You could get different pivots. You could get different pivot screw. You could go at a deep carry. You could do different scales. I mean, this is basically a Honda Civic of 2002 that you could basically go to Mother's, get the catalog, and say, I want to put a super duper exhaust, a K&N air filter with some side skirts and a wing. And I want to customize my Hinderer knife that is still going to be a 150,000 mile car that I don't have to worry about. And that's what's great about a Hinderer. You can't knock it for what it is. It will perform every day of the week for you. You keep it clean, you keep it sharp. With 20 CV, you don't have to worry about it getting corrosion. With the Battle Black finish, you even more don't have to worry about getting it wet, getting it dirty, keeping it clean. The pivot system with the bearings might need a little bit more maintenance, but you could forego that by adding the Teflon or the phosphor bronze washers. The pocket clip, you can customize it to fit your needs. Left hand and right hand is not an option, but the tip up and the tip down are. Like I said, you can modify it to a deep carry pocket clip should you decide. You can even replace the lock bar insert. I have a couple of lying around. One is bronze, the other one is blue, and you really can make this knife your own. And Do you need to have two? Do you need to have three? Do you need to have four? You go to the Hinderer page, the herd, and you take a look. There's guys with 12 of them, all with the same finish, or different finishes, different blades, different sizes. You can go with the XM18, which is a 3.5 as well. You can do the XM24, which is a 4-inch. You could do the 3-inch skinny. I mean, it is amazing the different variations that Hinderer and his team have been coming out with to make the knife the one that you want to carry every single day, and they do it with a quality product. So, I'm not sure if there's much else I could talk about at this time. I'm at 15 minutes. I know I go long-winded, and I'm going to start doing 5-minute reviews if I can. And I'll leave out the comparison. I'll get the nitty-gritty, the blade steel, the manufacturer, where it's made, where you can buy it from, what the price is, what my opinion is, and really keep it a streamlined approach and see if deploying some of these 5-minute or less reviews are helpful. The average view time on my 15-minute videos are 2.5 minutes. So if you're here, thanks for watching the whole thing. If you're not, stay tuned, and I'm going to come up with some shorter videos that maybe will help you get all of the information that you'd want from the knife review without having to stay through all the fluff. So again, thank you for your time. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks.